Hey everyone, today we're looking at this box to turning into this box. So we started with a old silverware box. It did not have the silver in it, but I found it at a yard sale and I thought it would be a cool project. I've sold a couple of these in the past and they always sold really well. So when I saw this one at the yard sale, I was like, yes, I have to buy it. So this one was in relatively good shape compared to the older ones, but it did have some sticky residue on it. So you see here I'm using some isopropyl alcohol to get rid of the I think it was like a sticker or something that the previous owners put on it, but the isopropyl alcohol takes it off right away. So I'll show you that in just a second here. Just using an old cleaning rag and the isopropyl alcohol and just rubbing it on it. And there you go. You can see the residue is completely gone within a couple seconds. So this top half needed a little bit more. I guess it's the bottom half. Needed a little bit more, but it comes off fairly easily. And then I started working on the inside. You have to be really careful with this because a lot of times on the inside they have staples or nails, and you don't want to get caught on something like that and end up with having to get a tetanus shot, which is very painful. So be careful on this part. Wear gloves. I did not because this one was only glued down, but if you don't know what you're getting into, definitely be careful and wear gloves and don't go in there expecting not to get hurt. There's a high chance you will. So this has a lot of glue on the inside with this like weird cardboard underneath the fabric. So I just took my time kind of scraping it all up. No, not this again. You're so cute. So you can see my cat was distracting me yet again. And next I took off the hardware, the back hinges as well as the front had a little tiny knob hardware. And I'm just using a screwdriver to unscrew those. It makes it easier to do the inside and kind of get to the top inside and get that fabric off in there. And it was really being difficult, so I just got a pair of pliers and just tried to rip it with the pliers because I couldn't really get my hand in there to get it to come off, but these seem to work pretty well. So it's really going to depend on what you find when you take out the liner, what kind of work you need to put into it, but this one was being extremely difficult, so I had to sit there and kind of pull at it and use different tools to kind of get it to come out. There's no shortage of my cats interrupting me while I'm doing art or voiceovers for the videos. My black cat is now currently in the background crying at me even though I just fed him. They're so lucky. I love them. They drive me nuts. So to get the sides off, I just got this knife that you see here, and I'm just digging behind the fabric to try and get a little bit of a pull, and then I'm using the God, what the heck are they called? Pliers to pull the fabric off. I haven't had this much trouble with the previous boxes that I've worked on, but this one for some reason really didn't want to come out. I'm not super worried about the residue that's left behind because it'll give some more adhesion for the inside once I get that far. But I did want to get all this like fabric bits off of here because that will make it look bad on the inside. It's like really fuzzy and it tends to get stuck on there, and it's really hard to get off in some of these boxes, but you just have to keep trying. I use sandpaper to get it out, and that tends to help. So here I'm just sanding the whole outside of the box just to give the paint some more some more grit to script to. And then I'm just cleaning it all off, cleaning off my work surface, and then painting it black, obviously, because that's what color I paint everything. And you're going to need to do 2 coats and let them dry in between. And you're going to think, I don't need to do 2 coats, but I guarantee you're going to need to do 2 coats. You always need to do 2 coats. Even if you don't think you need 2 coats, you need 2 coats. Hey guys, if you like this sort of content and you like watching my art process, as well as seeing my 3 cats just be cats during the whole process, give the channel a like and a subscribe. And if there's anything you want to purchase, just reach out to me on social. Thanks. So here I am with the sandpaper. I don't know what grit this is because I just found it in my basement loose, but it seems to be a fine grit sandpaper, and I'm going on the inside of the box to get some of that fabric off the inside that's really fine and it didn't want to come off. So that's one way you can get some of it off on your box if you're having some issues and it's not coming out. But this usually works pretty well if you get a fine grit sandpaper. And then I went downstairs and got this spray paint, and I spray painted the inside sides of the boxes. And you don't have to do this, that's up to you, but I like to do that. And these are going to be on the top, and I'm just painting them white so that they match the design a little bit better. And you'll notice later on I don't use a wood glue to adhere them. I use my E6000 glue, and the reason is because wood glue is yellowish and tan in color, and if you even get a little bit too much on there, it's going to stand out, whereas the E6000 glue is clear, so you're not really going to notice it. So here I am with this is actually a t-shirt transfer that I'm putting on the box, and the first thing you're going to do is make sure that it's down correctly and you have it centered on your box. So I had to make sure that this is the top and it's facing the correct way, and make sure you're in the center. And then I covered the outside with towels so you can see them there. They're just like cleaning towels, because sometimes when you are ironing it on, it actually will pull up the paint. So the towels are there to kind of stop that from happening. So you just kind of put your iron on here on the cotton setting, and you just go over everything. And if you'll see here, I started to peel it off a little bit, and you can see it's staying behind. That's when you know it's done. If there are some that are still on the transfer paper, then you need to go back over it. But you really want to wait until it's completely cooled down to take the whole transfer off. Because if you don't wait, then it could pull the image and just kind of cause a mess. So just gently go over the whole thing in light strokes and go back and forth fairly gently on the cotton setting, and peel off a little bit to see if you're done, and if you're not, go back over it with your iron. You'll be able to tell when it's done because the transfer paper will be clear and the image will be on the box. It's really hard to see in the video, but when you're doing it in person, you can see that it's still on the transfer paper, or if it's on the box, it's much easier to see. And I actually aligned this up with the center of the image, not the center of the skull. So at the end here, it kind of looks like it's off center, but I did that on purpose because it bothered me that it would be more to one side than the other. But you do however you want yours to look. You're going to do it however you like. So I saw here a little bit was still attached to the transfer paper, so I'm just going back over it again and just going over that little spot again, and just really trying not to nick the paint with the oh my gosh, my cat is brushing against me with the she's distracting me with the iron here. You just want to be really careful not to get any the iron touching the paint, because it'll melt it. So that's why I have the towels there to try and keep it away. So you can see in the bottom how it's more clear there. That means that that part of the transfer went onto the wood. But there were some flowers at the bottom here that were still giving me some trouble, so I wanted to go back over that again. Okay, so then I just peeled up to make sure that it transferred and then put it back down because you want to wait, like I said, until it's cool. So now I'm just feeling it up to make sure that it is cool enough to peel off, and then make sure everything has been transferred over onto the wood. And looks like that needed a little bit more, so I just got my iron and went back over it. Oh, you also want to make sure your iron's turned on. I know that kind of sounds silly, but at one point my iron wasn't turned on and it wasn't doing anything. So I was like, well, why isn't it working? And then I realized it was turned off. I turned it off because I didn't want my cats to bump into it and get hurt or burnt. So something to keep in mind if you have pets or kids, just make sure that they're safely away from the iron. That's going to be very hot. And if you turn it off, make sure you turn it back on when you use it again, like, you know, smartly. And Simon is now crying again in the hallway. He's very needy. He doesn't like being away from me. He has separation anxiety. Poor sweetness. I don't want to call for him because then he'll come running down here and he sounds like a stampede. Now Triss is screaming at me. Baby girl, you just ate. Yes, you did. Never a dull moment. This part is so satisfying to watch, just watching it peel off. It's actually really fun to do too. But I go really slow because I'm afraid that if it's not cooled all the way, it's going to peel it. So that butterfly wing right there started coming up. So what you can do in that instance is put your transfer paper back down and then put your iron back over it to make sure that it stays ironed on there. So that's what I did. I did take the transfer paper and put it back on and got the iron and just kind of went back over that butterfly wing just to make sure that it was going to stay. So here's what that looked like. You just put it back down on top and you go back over it. So this is what I use for the top coat. And a couple tips here is one, make sure you pour it into another container because the first time I did this, I ended up making everything different, discolored from everything I did after that. So I went to make a white box after that and it was discolored gray. So make sure you pour that out into a separate container. Also, you want to use thin layers when you're working with the top coat. Don't do thick layers, it's going to make a mess. So this is the inside that I chose to go with. It's a sticky back, almost like a wallpaper or a peel and stick paper. And what I like to do is peel back 1 inch down from the top and then align it and then keep pushing out the air bubbles as I go. And you can see right there that this one is a pain in my butt because it actually ripped. So if you use this wallpaper like this, a lot of the ones that are metallic, they tend to rip really easily. So keep that in mind when you're picking out your peel and stick wallpaper. That could definitely be a potential problem. And I had a little bit of trouble here with it sticking, but it does eventually work. Oh my god, my cat is back to bother me. Why? Why? I just want to finish this video so I can go make dinner. So I just tried to hold it on there while I was aligning it. I do eventually get it to work. So I noticed at this point that I had some excess left over on the edges, and I wasn't sure how I was going to cut it away. I got a plastic container and kind of lined it up with the edge, and then just ran a very sharp knife along it to kind of get it to cut it off there. There was still a little bit left, and I really didn't want to run the knife along the paint because it could scrape up the paint and the top coat, but I did end up doing that eventually anyway because I didn't know how else to get it to come off. After all that was done, I added the hardware again, which is a new knob on the front, which is black instead of the bronze that it was before, and I added the back hardware as well. When you're putting the hinges back on, if you took yours off, make sure you put them on the correct way. Mine only go on one way, so I knew I was doing it right, but sometimes it can be a little tricky to figure out. Next, I used my E6000 glue and I glued down my white wooden appliques that I painted earlier. I used a separate top coat for these just so that they wouldn't get stained with the top coat that I was using for the black. Here's what the inside looks like. Here's what the outside looks like. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, comment down below and I'll help as much as I can. Until next time, stay spooky, my friend.